I'll keep this one up. Oh, that's too busy. Keep this one up. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Wagwan. Wagwan. I just talked to her. She's on her. She's logging on now. Um, what's up with everybody though? How y'all doing? Feeling good today? I'm having a good day. I'm having a great day actually. Um, it's a great day today. Well, it's my sister and my nephew's birthday today. So happy birthday to my sister. Happy birthday to my nephew, Tanya and Tamarian. I love y'all. Happy birthday. You know, um, it's their birthday today. So, you know, it's a good day today. I'm alive. God said, you know what, Terrence, I'm going to wake you up again. So how about that? You know what I mean? Okay. Okay. All right. Well, all right. Let's bring on Miss Tina Campbell. That's what I do know. Let's bring her on. How about that? Hello, Miss Campbell.
What's going on, bro?
First, look, I just want to say thank you. Let's start there. I want to say thank you, Miss Campbell. I'm so excited for today's conversation. Um, I'm so excited. We got listeners falling in there, and listeners are slowly falling in. I'm just excited about today's conversation because I just know how our conversation can get, right? A lot of
Right.
laughing, a lot of Jesus, just a lot of good things. And I'm excited for the people to be blessed today and just really dig into who Tina Campbell is as a woman, as a person, as a beautiful soul, you know. So before I start, let me say what's up to the chat. Chat, how you doing? I've got Eric Lloyd in the building, my good brother Slim, the stylist, the grand stylist. Eric Lloyd is in the building.
What's going on?
Aaron Price, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Okay, Aaron Price. You know Aaron Price? See,
I'm
she said,
not sure.
okay. She said my
Maybe.
mentor. I know she ain't talking about me, so let me talk about you. Let me talk about you. Um, So shout out to everybody. Look, I do want to start it like this. So when I have these conversations with my friends and my peoples, the first
Mhm.
thing I must do is give them their flowers while they stand. And to you, Miss Tina, I want to say first of all, it's an honor to even know you. I will say that first of all. You have blessed me in so many different ways, and you're such a sweetheart. We had a chance to do music together, which was
Yeah, man.
awesome.
That
We
part.
did. You got can't you awesome, awesome, awesome. And it's my first gospel record, so I'm extremely happy about that. You know,
Listen, I'm extremely happy about that. And I'm sure everybody who hears this record is going to be
for,
extremely happy about that. Got my
for
kids over
sure.
here quoting your lines and whatnot. Love it.
I'm so excited about that. Um, Yes, but you've done an amazing thing here on Earth. Beautiful family, beautiful music. The Atkins as a whole. Let's start there, right? Just the whole clan, just beautiful people.
Oh,
And
thank
I
you.
think the world is so much better with you guys in it. You know, I do want to just start there by saying that. And I'm
Let's
so happy to have you. How you doing today?
turn my volume up here to make sure I'm getting
Okay.
everything. Okay, good. Yeah.
So how are you today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Make sure I'm out. Am I in this? We good. We good. Yeah, I'm
Yep, you
good.
good.
I'm good. I'm blessed and highly favored.
Come on now. Come on now.
You know,
Come
but
on.
when people used to say that, I used to be like, "Oh God, you so spiritual, you so whatever." But you know what? I'm blessed and highly favored. So yeah. So yeah, there.
Right. I ain't never mad at it.
Right.
um, I want to start with first of all, this is a real conversation. I do have questions, right? But I love how conversations kind of bounce off each other. We'll kind of flow into other conversations. I
Right.
think that's the
I feel like I
best
done
way to do
messed
it.
my little situation up.
Tina, you it's perfect over there.
I
Okay,
might be.
braids to
I
the
might
side.
be on some OCD stuff right now, but so I'm gonna let
Yeah,
that
because
go.
glasses, braids to the side, chocolate background. You good? Trust me, you good. All right.
Good. Good. Good.
Um, let's start with um, Tina Atkins, the little girl, Tina Atkins, right? What
Wow.
was what was it like coming up in the Atkins household? You being a little girl before, obviously before music business and all these things. What was it like being a young woman in household, Atkins household?
Our house was full of noise, full of fun, uh, full of fussing and fighting because it was a lot of us. Yeah, everybody's trying to be
Right.
number one. Everybody's trying to get the last hot dog, the last cookie, sleep in the bed with mom and daddy. Sit on the lap, get tickled first. Like everybody was
Hmm.
trying to, everybody's trying to get that space, get help with their homework. You know what I mean? Have their preference for lunch, dinner, whatever, and dessert. Get the best birthday gift. So it was just a lot of excitement, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We had community in our house. Like we were it's so funny. My mother and father, I don't know if they like scheduled this thing or whatever, but we were like all born in groups. There's my older
Mm.
brother and sister, Daryl and Malia, and then there was Andre, Erica, and me. Andre
Mhm.
died, my older brother, by 3 years. He had a
Mm.
hole in his heart. He was born with Down
Oh
syndrome and a
wow.
hole in his heart. And so he
Okay.
died at about 6 years old. So he wasn't here for more than about 3 years of my life. So then it
Wow.
ends up being me and Erica in a group, and then Lisa and Gugu, and then Elena, Shantae, and Jasmine. So everybody
Really?
had their people. Everybody had their best friends or whatever, partners in crime, whatever you want to call it. And
Hmm.
so we always had, somebody that had us in the way my mother, had like we couldn't use the word hatred in our house. Like I hate you, we'll get you beat down.
Right.
We're not gonna do that. Like you're not,
Right.
ain't nobody gonna hate nobody
We ain't
here.
doing
We're gonna
that.
love
We ain't
each
doing
other.
that.
And so we could fight and feud amongst each other. But it couldn't get out of hand because mom and daddy, they would help us out. We could never ever be in opposition to one another, like out
Mm.
in front of the family. So people be like, man, them Atkins always be hollering and screaming at each other, but you couldn't do it. So you couldn't do
Right.
it. And we
Right.
understood that we love each
Right.
other, and our endearing way of communicating is sometimes, it's
We don't play
it's
that. Yeah, we don't
it
play that
might
at
it might
all.
not it might not rub well with everybody else, but you can't do that because you ain't us. And
Right.
so we had love and commitment in between each other. We had each other's back. You know what I mean? Loving but brutal. Yeah, older brothers
Yeah.
and sisters, family can sometimes be brutal. They don't mean no harm. We
It's tough.
stopped
It's tough
drop.
with the skin.
Say it again.
It gives you tough skin.
Absolutely. So we stopped dropping roll for each other. But our household was based. Our family was raised in the church. The church was
Okay.
our community. So the
Got
church
it.
was our activities. The church was like we went to church 52 days a week. We had, there's youth service, and then there's Bible study, and then there's pastor night, and then there's a like a youth night, and there's you got to go visit all these other churches and stuff. So our
Hmm.
lives kind of revolved around church. My parents didn't allow us to be in too many extracurricular activities out of school, outside in school. Now I understand that we didn't have funding for a lot of that, and you
Hmm.
had to pick which kid you were going to allow to be in whatever activity because you got these two parents who
Ah,
gonna take
yeah.
all these 50 kids around to different, and they all different stages. Everybody's like a group 4 years apart or 6 years apart. Like who gonna take everybody? So
Right.
it was just better to have all our activities revolve around church because first of all, it was free. Second of all, it was morally upright and with people you could trust. And then third of all, it was all on one schedule. You know what I mean? And so
Mm.
life revolved around church, but we loved it. We had
Yeah.
community, we had fun. We was on, my dad worked with the post office girl growing up. And so I remember when daddy used to get paid and he used to go, buy all of the groceries and then take us shopping sometimes. And we thought we was living it up. And then I remember I'm gonna pull this down now. But I remember when my mother, my dad had health issues. My
Hmm.
dad was in the war in Vietnam, and he contracted something from there that affected his strength. So his fight
Mm.
flight kind of that energy thing, he that wasn't always right, and it affected his
Okay.
ability to work at times. And so I remember being on welfare for a lot of our life. And so we didn't have a lot of money, but we had a
Right.
lot of fun. We had a lot of creativity, and everybody wanted to be down with us because where we were is where the fun was. Where we were, it was where the party was. We didn't have birthday parties and anything like that because our parents didn't have money like that. We had
Right.
a birthday cake, and then it was like four of us whose birthday was like within a week and a half, and so all of our birthdays was like put together. And our birthday cake was always like sakatumi cake or something like that. It wasn't like traditional birthday cakes like with
Right. Right.
chocolate
Yeah.
and all of that kind of stuff. But we had love, and we knew we had love. We had commitment and community, and we knew we had that. So I had a great upbringing. But at the same time, there was some level of dysfunction because
Hmm.
my mother and father got married and divorced to each other multiple times.
Oh wow. Okay. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and so there was some level of dysfunction in that, and the impact that that has on you that you don't know is having on you until you get older and maybe start getting in relationships and having children. And then my father, I'm going to tell this part. My father wanted a lot of sons, and he didn't have a lot of
Okay.
sons. He was an Old Testament man, and in the Old Testament, the thing that gave you value was like
Yep. What's the sons? Yep.
land and animals and sons. You know what I
Sons.
mean? So
Yep.
he wanted somebody to carry on his legacy, and you don't, daughters don't necessarily carry on your name, so he wanted a lot of sons. And since he did not have sons, a lot of sons, he had like six daughters back to back to back.
Mm.
So it was a shoot and a miss. And
Yeah.
so that was wearing my that was wearing my daddy out. And so my daddy gravitated to the daughters that looked like him. I did not know
Oh
this growing up.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I didn't know this growing up, but once I grew up, I realized, because of my father's own maybe insecurities or feelings of inadequacy,
Yeah.
the ones that looked like him, I think, gave him more value, so he gravitated to them. But in the
Wow.
process, it made me feel rejected.
Right. Right. Right.
And now that I'm
Someone has to
grown and all of
suffer in
that
that.
kind of stuff, yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Someone will suffer. It's when you say that. I hear so many times. And that kind of family dynamic where there's a parent who's looking for us or has certain kind of expectations on their kids or upcoming kids or whatever, and they may gravitate to. I've heard where the slightly the parent that hates the skin they're in, so the darker child didn't get as much love as the lighter child, or
Hmm.
someone doesn't like the baby father, so if the son looks like him, then he will get all the hate in the house. And you hear all these different dynamics, and it's really interesting how that works out. Not works out. It's really interesting how that plays out in a family dynamic, and then and the other side is the suffering, the people who suffer on the other side of that. In your case, it was you in some cases, and I'm sure
Yeah.
it was other sisters who noticed that. And wow, it's how did you was there? I mean, other than when this is happening in real time, do you actually realize what's going on in real time as a child?
Not really.
Mhm.
I just knew that I became that kid that I'm gonna fight for myself. I'm gonna speak up for myself. You ain't gonna never tell me what I can't do, and you ain't never gonna tell me
Yeah.
what I ain't, because I'm gonna prove you wrong. So what it created in me, what rejection created in me, was rebellion. What
Mhm.
um what rejection created in me was this this desire or this quest for acceptance.
Right.
And so I just realized in recent years, like, oh, I talk too much because I was always trying to advocate for myself. I was always trying to prove myself.
Right.
I always, I am a speaker, and so I would use my words to try to advocate for myself, to try to build my case, to try to acquire acceptance, or help people understand me so that they would feel good about me. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
I never knew that that's what I was doing. I didn't know that's what I was doing probably until last year, this year.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and I'm 50.
Yeah.
I know she's so fly, she's so high. Everybody around her trying to figure out why and whatnot. But I mean, I've lived, and I didn't realize the way that rejection impacted me. But it did, but I had a good upbringing. I had love. I didn't have perfect parents, but I knew that I
Mhm.
was loved. I knew
For
that I
sure.
was covered. My parents taught me to pray. They taught me the word. That's the greatest thing they ever gave me, and they
For
gave me
sure.
a good foundation
For
in
sure.
family. But there, ain't nobody perfect but Jesus, and you don't
Yeah,
even get
right. Right.
perfected until you get in the family of Jesus. And so, it was all
Yeah.
those dynamics. But I had a good upbringing. But once I became an adult, the things that I didn't identify and get therapy for and address, they became bigger problems than I ever knew they were.
100%. I'm in therapy right now. I've been in therapy maybe this last year. For the first time in my life, I'm just figuring out so many things. You just never realize how much trauma is driving the car,
Yep.
right? And then you start peeling back these layers, and as things start to fall off, it's just mind blowing. How did I even make it this far with dealing with some of these things?
Hmm.
So I love hearing that the fact that the work is being done and it will always be done in this world. And thankfully, I'm talking to someone who walks with Christ. That's first of all, that's the foundation, right? And
Yeah,
then we'll do the work on top of that with therapy and learning how to deal with our things.
yeah.
I want to ask you, when did how early on was it when the gift of song or singing hit the household? Was it is it inherited? What was that like?
Definitely inherited day one.
Mm.
My father was a part of the music ministry. I think like I don't really remember my father being a part of the music ministry as much as I remember my mother, but my father like directed the choir. My
Hmm.
daddy definitely could sing. My mother definitely could sing. My mother was a songwriter. My mother was a choir director. My mother was a singer. She was the pianist for my church. So
Wow.
like what this came from mama more than anything.
Right.
This came
Right.
from mama because what we saw my mom doing, my mom did work to some degree, but I think once it started being like 8 million of us, she had to stop working. Like it's just first of all,
Right.
child care is gonna eat up you and daddy's check.
For sure. For
So
sure.
so my mom stopped working so she could be there to take care of us, but she worked with the church.
Okay.
And we would watch her prepare songs every week. We would watch her listen to the songs, write
Mhm.
the songs out, because you had the tape player, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff
Yeah.
then. Write the songs out. She always brought Erica in to help her, identify parts and all of that kind
Mhm.
of stuff. We was, being hauled off to choir rehearsal with her. We lived most of the time like right next to our church or a couple of houses
Right.
down. So we was going back and forth to church all day. And so music was all around us. We saw our mother writing songs. We saw her teaching the choir. We saw her playing the piano. We saw her directing the choir. We was up under her direction of the choir, as we got
Mm.
older and all of that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. So music came from my household. My mother imparted, and she didn't try to force it on us or whatever. It just, and the choir was like the biggest thing going at our church. Like our choir was
Right.
popping, like the whole
Right.
neighborhood, greater LA, they knew evangelistic mass choir.
Mhm.
And so, like if you was gonna be a part of the it ministry, like, I was like, what's the it club of the church? Like
Right.
the choir was
That
it.
was
You know what I mean? And we were all a part of it growing up, and my mother was over it for majority of that time. And so music was hands down passed to us. I mean, who knew that a songwriter and singer was being, developed and cultivated, but yeah, that came from mama and daddy.
Let me ask you. I think it's one thing as a child or kids or growing up in a Christian household, um, strong Christian household, meaning they are taking it outside of the home, right? Not just doing Sunday and then you forget Monday to Friday, what you are,
Yeah,
right?
no, no, no.
Right, right. So, how was it like growing up, being in school, right? Being outside the home, outside the church, in the world, but also being like really Christianity being imputed, Jesus Christ being imputed, and really to have you being your foundation. How was it a struggle in them younger years, being out in the world, growing up, maybe a young teenager out here trying to figure it out? What was that like?
Well, it's a couple of things. All
Mm.
kids want to be cool. All kids want to be down with what everybody else is got going
Hmm.
on, or with everybody and with whatever it is that folks got going on. So of course we wanted to be down. But then there was my mother and father.
Hmm.
My mother and father was the heads of our household. Period. Yeah,
Yeah,
all this, I
yeah,
got my voice and my feelings and my emotions. Yeah, no, no. You did
no,
what your parents told you to do.
right,
And if you didn't, there
right.
was gonna be some repercussions. And like I said, my mother and father had issues in their relationship. So there would be times where my dad wasn't there. But my dad was the law.
Right.
Period. If he said it, that's what it was. His
Mm.
daughters wasn't gonna be out there wilding out. His
Right.
daughters, what not with our mouth, not with the way we dressed, not with definitely with no boys. Before you ever tried to anything, you met my daddy, and we didn't have cell phones back then, so you had to call my house. You know what I mean? If you
Right.
came over, you had to, you knocking on the gate and all before they open up the gate. It wasn't like kids got their own spaces. That wasn't my life. Like my
Mm.
parents ran our household, so you had to go through my father to get through us. So we didn't have problems with boys because they met my father. He shook their hand and squeezed it until like they was basically like breaking down or whatever. He would immediately like his just the first lines is, what are your intentions for my daughter? Like these dudes, and my daddy was jailhouse buff
Yeah.
on purpose. So We didn't really have the boy problems, because we had a fear for our father. Like,
Mhm.
it wasn't no staying out all night. We did not talk crazy to our mother because you wasn't gonna do that. You
No,
catch one
not
from
at all.
mama, but
Right, not
daddy's
at all.
my
Not at all.
father's presence regulated a lot.
Wow.
And then
Wow.
there was the fear of God, but there was the fear of my mother.
Yeah.
You would catch one if you thought you wasn't going to mishandle her. I mean, a lot of people know my mom. She's pretty, she's about my height, little soft tender woman, but she will put you on your back if you came up into her house trying to have thine own way. My parents
Yeah,
was
no.
never scared of us. We were scared of them. They
I
took authority over our house so that no police had to take authority over us.
for
I mean,
sure.
my brother got involved in some criminal activities, you know what I'm saying? But he did it outside of the house. Like, and so, we was trying to fit in, trying to find our way. But our parents had so much power and presence over us that we never went out there bad. I mean, did we get involved in all of the regular stuff the kids get involved in to some degree, but not
Right,
to
right,
no
right.
extensive degree, because our parents had. First of all, it's like, if they find out, like, what we gonna do if they find out? So you
Yeah.
could only go so far, because you would go as far as you thought, they couldn't find out. And then there was times when my daddy would just pull up to the school, drive on campus, walk around in a t-shirt all buff, like, anybody seen Eric and Tina? So pull up at the
Right.
dance during lunchtime at the door. How you hear who? How you?
Right.
So, so our parents intercepted a lot of craziness that we could have got into. Not that we were angels, but they prevented a lot because of their mere presence. There was a fear of God that said, don't do too much. There was a fear
Mhm.
of them that said, you will not do, too much. And I'm grateful for that, man, because we could have been out there bad, or whatever we got into, we could have got into
Yeah,
way earlier if the parents didn't have presence. So people respected our family.
for sure.
Dudes respected or was scared of our dad. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? And
yeah,
so people changed when they came around us. But they also saw that we was loved and we had a lot of fun. We wasn't like the boring church kids. People wanted to be down with us. We was a lot of fun. My daddy
yeah,
was super fun. My mama was loving and embraced everybody. And so people wanted to be down with us, but they knew it was certain stuff that we couldn't get and we couldn't do. And we got teased sometimes, and y'all church kids, and y'all know y'all daddy would come to the door, so y'all can't come to the dance and like all of that kind of stuff.
yeah. Silly stuff. And
Yeah,
I love hearing that. And the one of the main reasons I really love hearing that is because hearing you say these are the results of two parents being diligent about the type of young people they're raising, right? And here's the thing: who they'll be when their parents are not around, right? These are your dad being this masculine figure, this big man, um, who didn't have to rule by the whip per se, right? But also he had a strong presence, godly man, and you said his presence was a regulator, right?
I do want to interject that he did rule by the whip.
Yeah,
Everything is abuse now.
for sure.
I
But
don't
so,
call it abuse. I mean, the
and that's why
Bible,
I want
and our parents would quote scriptures to us and
right.
tell us the scriptures in the Bible where
Mhm.
God said, if you spare the rod, you'll spoil the child.
For sure, for
Foolishness
sure.
is bound in the heart of the child, but the rod of correction will drive him far from him. If you don't it said not if you don't spank, but if you don't what is the word that I'm looking for, if you don't reprimand your child, you don't
Mhm.
love them. And so my parents lived by that.
For
i
sure,
i don't i
for
don't I
sure.
look back on my life and I can't even say now it was really I mean, I got two whoopings, one by daddy and one by mama, that I think that went on and was abusive. But I got hundreds of whoopings, and and most of them were not abusive, they were
Right,
corrective.
right, right.
You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean?
And and
So
I
he
and,
did. He
and
didn't. He didn't
I'm very
exactly spare that
specific,
rod, but his presence did more than them whoopings.
and for sure. And that's where I actually should have said, because I'm understanding like discipline. But when nowadays the modern, when they hear discipline or hear rule by the whip, whatever, they think beaten, bloody, I was somewhere passed out somewhere, right? So I like, and I
It's
come
crazy.
from a house where my mom did the rule by the whip. Like my dad was my dad, But my mom was like, "No, you big now. I'm about to beat you up." Like, you
That
know
part.
what I mean? Like, my
Yeah.
mom wasn't playing, and it kept me and my brother. My sister older. My sister was a little better than we were as far as like me and my brother closer in age as far as we're a year apart, and my sister's older than me by about maybe 6 7 years.
That's a lot when you're growing up.
It's a whole lot. It's a whole lot because and I was the middle child who didn't feel like the middle child because my brother was a year under me. So it felt
Right.
like he should suffer in some certain ways that I should suffer. Anyway, but I
Right.
love, but to that point though about your dad and your mom, I think that's a huge, huge thing that people need to hear more so nowadays about your parents and how they are. If your dad, and your mom, if your dad and your mom um, raised you guys the way it raised you, then you wouldn't have to worry about your daughters and sons being out in the world just going full on crazy if they were
Full on.
doing it full on crazy if they were doing what they're supposed to do. So I love hearing it from someone who had a house full of children, right? Who went out in the world and made. We don't look, well, like you said, we weren't the perfect family, and as children, you're gonna mess up here and there. But
Yep.
we made way more better choices than we made bad choices because I'm here today. That's what lets you know I made more better choices than
That part.
negative bad choices. And I love the
Yeah.
fact that
And
you're.
what
Mm,
and went like, okay, so my brother decided he was gonna start making bad choices and stuff like that.
mm, okay.
He had to move in with my grandmother. He couldn't
Oh, see,
live at our house doing that.
right.
And that was the understanding. Like it was like, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And as for me and my house, we will submit to daddy and mommy. Period. This is not a negotiable situation.
Nope.
This is not a well, let me consider my view, my perspective. Just
Mm-mm.
no. No. I'm the parent. I'm responsible for you. I'm considering you. That's the consideration. The consideration that I have for you. But let me hear your thoughts and your opinions on how I run this house. Let me hear your thoughts and your opinions on parameters that I gave you
Mm-hmm.
because you don't understand yet. Let me get your thoughts. No. Let me find out if you want to be in the faith or you want to respect our God. We'll consider adjusting. Never, like, no. Our parents they were the
Right.
parents and we were the kids. This whole community where parents and children are their equal. That's insane. We don't know how to raise ourselves as kids. If my mama and daddy would have let me raise myself, I'd have been a hoe way earlier
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I'd
Yeah.
have got into what I got into at early. I'd have rotted my teeth out, probably been sick,
Yeah. I would have
got
died a
kidnapped,
long
got
time
beat,
ago.
got all because you don't make wise decisions. You have to learn how to be a responsible, mature person. And so your parents' job is to teach you. The Bible says, Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way he
Yep.
should go, and when they get older, they won't depart from it. You're gonna depart from it while you're
For
young.
sure.
Like
For
my
sure.
oldest born is 21 now. She's, college age and all of that, about to move away to college right now. After doing it here, like I'm seeing now the impact of raising her. I feel like I ain't really seen it. Nothing was working till the girl's about 15. So you you got to invest some time in raising your kids. If they had those 15 years to raise themselves, they would be dead,
Right.
sick, like ruined for life. And so that mentality, like they have now, kids got their own say. So okay, I'm responsible for keeping them in school. I'm responsible for feeding them. Oh, you're going to force me to vaccinate them or whatever the rules are of the government. I got
Hmm.
to adhere to that. But when I take them to the doctor's office on my insurance, you get to talk to them and see if they want to kick me out of the room so they can make decisions with just you. What are you saying? This is insane. So no,
Insane.
my parents were the authority and they taught us right. And so when authorities came in, our thoughts were, we don't know you and we trust our parents. So can you
Hmm.
we need their opinion or we got to check with them, like, you know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I'm grateful for growing up in an era where respect and honor was it was a common thing and it was taught. We didn't know it, we didn't automatically do it. It was taught, it was imparted. And I'm doing the same thing with my children. Do I make mistakes in parenting them? Absolutely.
For
But I'm
sure.
making my greatest effort to be a responsible parent, to even take responsibility for my flaws, for my shortcomings, for my stuff. Get therapy for how parents so that I can do it right. But these kids need to be raised, they need to be trained, and we can the we can change the world. We could change the world in 10 years, in 5 years, in a year, if the
Yep.
parents would be
Yep.
responsible parents.
That's a
Then the
fact.
schools and the government and the police and everybody wouldn't be out here trying to correct your kids' behavior that you should have corrected at the crib.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Man, I love hearing that because it just you get so if you get so caught up in the world today and these narratives of society, new modern societal rules, you would think that's the best way to go. Of someone telling yourself, "I just let my child do what he want to do or raise himself," and it's almost like I start to think to myself, are you actually listening to society tell you that's the thing to do, or do you not know what to do? First of all, none of us actually knew what to do, right? There's no book I can go by to tell me this is the way you parent this new baby that comes from you and this woman, and it's going to work. Like there's no, so it's something in you that's natural, right? That when you got to figure it out, right? So I don't understand how you would
I
let
think books can
them.
be helpful, but
For sure,
nothing is
100%,
the exact blueprint for
100%.
your ideal, for your unique situation. There ain't no exact blueprint for your unique situation. If there is one, it's called the Bible, but you also got to
Right,
use your
right.
wisdom in
Yeah,
situations
exactly.
as they come.
Exactly. um, I want to ask you from coming up under your mom, writing, singing. I'm watching your mom write and sing, being in the choir, singing with your sisters. Was there any thought at that time as far as a future professional career at this, or
Not
did
ever
that
with
come
me.
later on?
No, that ain't never what I wanted to do. It was just what I did. I didn't see that. I didn't even think of that as, oh, let me think to have a career like that. I was so busy in school, and the careers that's being pushed on you is like these 9 to 5 kind of jobs. It was almost
Yeah.
like, oh, that's what you do for fun. That's your extra thing. I don't even know if I thought like even famous people have to have a job because I didn't understand it like this could be your whole job. Like
Mhm.
I don't know. That never really entered my mind. So I think after seeing the movie Sister Act, I realized
Mm.
I really like music, and that means I'm probably going to teach it. Like I never saw myself as
Okay.
that singer. My sister Erica was a singer. She started singing way earlier on, and when all the other kids was giving speeches and all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff and playing some other role in whatever the church events are, she did a lot of singing, but not me. I was just in the choir, but
Mhm.
not like that lead singer who I did not dream this at all. So the most I thought after seeing the Sister Act movie was that, oh, I'm going to teach. But I
Oh,
never,
wow.
ever, ever saw me being this. I didn't dream it. I didn't desire it. I didn't see it coming. It just kind of snuck up on me, or maybe Erica pushed me into it because she
Mhm.
got this opportunity, like in her early 20s, to go sing with these gospel stage plays, and we wasn't accustomed to being out in the world on our own. So she was like, "My sister could sing too," so she wouldn't have to be out there by herself. Because I remember I'm her partner in crime. Like we 2 years
Right,
apart,
right.
we do everything together.
For sure.
So she offered me to go so she wouldn't be by herself, and that's how I ended up kind of thrust into like singing professionally, and then it became a thing from there. But I never saw this coming.
Wow, wow. I think it's amazing to me how you could be living life a certain kind of way, uh, um, doing what you. I mean, what you feel is right, and if you're steeped in if you have God in your life, you move in a certain way to try to figure life out and not really knowing where it's going to be, but I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do as the
Yeah,
days turn, and you kind of. It's always amazing to me how, like, you know how they say God isn't necessarily dealing with. I mean, he is the now Tina, but he sees the fully formed version of who Tina's supposed to be, right?
yeah,
And that's career, that's life, that's marriage, that's whatever, all these things. And so it's like there's this path that's going to come up on you, right? That you're going to have to go through. And then there's going to be another set of challenges, right? Ups and
yeah,
downs, struggles, great moments, great memories. And you have no idea that this thing is in front of you, right? And then
yeah,
you have no idea. You're just singing in the church one day or at home or out with your sisters and not knowing that you and your partner in crime in the future are going to be what I would
Partners
consider
in music.
partners in music, right? And I'm talking about not just partners in music, because it's I'm talking about Grammy award winning, hit making, powerhouse of a group, Mary Mary. And I must say you're hilarious because the way you speak on just life in general is kind of like, yeah, no, I didn't see it happening. Like, no, I didn't see that happening at all. But I love the fact that when you come into it, how you come into it, and you embrace it, and you embrace the job as you got to feel the job. If
Yes.
I'm in this group, I'm doing my part. I'm going to kill it, and then it's time to go home with my kids, right? Like, you know what I mean? And
That is my life.
but I love that. I love that because you did your thing. You did what you need to do, what God called you to do, and because that afforded you to minister to people around the world, right? When your gift, we have I don't know if technical difficulties, my good people. TD, you went blank. I don't know if you can still hear me or see me.
What happened?
I hear you though. I do hear you. I just don't see you. Can you hear me? Okay, we have technical difficulties, my good people. Oh, there she go. There she go. You back? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I hear you. Let me see. Can you hear me? Let me see. We hear you, Tina. I don't think you hear me though. Technical difficult. Let me see. Let me text her. We hear you. I'm just texting her, my peoples. All right. I hear her. Can you hear me, Tina? She gonna log back on. Yo, I'm really enjoying this conversation. Tina, she's such a dope soul, man. I love her soul. She's such a light. And I got some really, really dope questions. I'm really gonna get into the thick of it. And I'm just excited that you are here for this conversation today. She's really, really dope. Thank you, Miss Yvonne. I'm glad you love the interview. Aaron Price, thank you. I see you. Can you hear
We
me?
good?
We good? You hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, good. We good then. We
I don't
good.
know what
Okay.
happened.
Hey,
Are we
it
good?
don't even
Okay.
matter. We here. It don't even matter. We here.
We
Um,
back. We
okay, we
back.
back. We back. So, okay, I'll just cut to this. What do you feel? What's it like when you see this? What do you feel? What's the first thing you feel when you see this?
It's so crazy. When I first got on and I saw that, I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
he went to the beginning." When I see that now, I think all I can really say is, wow, just wow. Who knew? Who knew, man? Like we was just two church girls turned R&B background singers that didn't know that that was God preparing us for the spaces that we would be in. And then when we had our interviews with the Sony executives, they was like, "Where do you see your music?" And we were like, "In the world. Everybody loves gospel music and everybody wants gospel music. They just don't know it." And then
Mm,
our proof, we were so innocent and so naive, but we were so matter of fact. We were like, Mahalia Jackson, one of the biggest singers in the whole entire world from
hmm.
back in the day, gospel. Aretha Franklin, one of the biggest singers in the whole
Got it.
world,
Right.
gospel. Whitney Houston, biggest singers in the whole world, gospel. Elvis Presley, biggest singers in the whole world,
Hmm.
influenced by gospel. I'm like, we were just hitting them with like old legends and all these
Yeah,
kind of
for
stuff.
sure.
And Kelly Price, I was like, gospel, like, we was just naming people that we knew, like R&B groups, boy groups, women groups. Like these people were all influenced by gospel singers
Hmm.
and gospel music. And so we was like, the world wants gospel music. You just got to give it to them.
Yeah,
And when
for
y'all
sure.
give them our gospel music, you're going to see that they want it. It was not arrogance. It was not cocky. we didn't even know to be that. We were brand spanking new. So,
Yeah.
we wasn't like these people nowadays. They get their little first deal and they a big, huge star, ain't put out one record, ain't sold nothing, ain't sold no tickets to no tour, nothing, but
Right.
they cocky and arrogant to death because they got their picture on something aligned with somebody else who actually has succeeded. And so it wasn't that. We were not arrogant. We were just
Yeah. Yeah.
fully convinced that gospel music is the greatest music. It feeds the soul. Everybody wants it. You just got to put it out there and make it available for them
For
and
sure.
watch. Basically, those were our words. So
Yeah.
they did it. And
Do
we
you,
see what happened.
do
And
you
that
feel
record is where it all started.
what I was gonna say? Do you feel like, because hearing that, first of all, I love that because you know how Jesus works. Let's start there, right? You know, knowing how Jesus works, right? Um, and I was going to ask, with shackles, was there kind of like an intentional kind of like, okay, we'll do, because I understand y'all may be trying to fight us over this a little bit, right? It's, if I have to tell you why gospel is so important, why the world needs this, I feel
Right.
like there's a little fight on the other side, obviously. What do you feel like Shackles was kind of like, because it's such a crazy big record, right? But it gave them also a remnants of something they know already, right? With the beat being what it was. So it's kind of like, here's a healthy compromise. I'm not saying that's what Warren was thinking when he went into it, but I'm asking you, what could that have been a thing, like kind of like the healthy compromise? We gonna give you, this is Jesus all the way. We're not gonna lowball that. We're not gonna cut that back. We're not gonna bring that in. It's Jesus all the way. But I'm gonna give you this track under the bottom is not like what you would, what the world at the time would consider kind of
Gospel.
traditional gospel,
Yeah.
right?
Well, it was a lot of things happening. We were not
Mhm.
traditional gospel. We was in our 20s.
Right,
Traditional,
right.
you got to find somebody that's like 50 or something. Like we wasn't traditional. Or I don't know, somebody from where we wasn't from. We was from Inglewood.
Mhm.
Like the traditional was in our hearts. But
Yeah, yeah,
but the way that we did music, it was an expression of who we were and how we were. You, if you came to our church and saw our choir get down, you would see Mary Mary as an extension of evangelistic mass choir, in the way we got down on choir night every first Sunday and all of that kind of stuff. And then Warren Campbell, preacher's kid, church musician, but by a turn of events, a producer at Death
right,
Row Records.
for
Me
sure.
and Erica was singing background for all these different R&B singers. I believe that it was also God's divine plan so that we can get acquainted with the audience that he was going to thrust us into when we could sing what was in our hearts to sing. So
For
I don't
sure.
think it was like, let me make some R&B records, or let me make some, some hip hop, kind of a mix. I don't think it was that. I think it was
Uh,
like, we finna get a world what they ain't ready for. We finna get them gospel, we finna get them gospel the way we feel it, the way we hear it, the way we want to do it, the way it's true to us and the way it's true to God. I think that it was that. It was not
yeah,
as contrived as I hear so many people. Oh, you do R&B gospel. Oh, you do hip hop gospel. Like, it was, those words never came out of our
for
mouths. Like,
sure.
we didn't think like that. We was not trying to be nothing. We were offered deals for $500,000 more back then, which was a lot, just to do R&B. We was like, we don't need to do R&B. That ain't in our
Right,
hearts. Like, we could do this better than we could do anything, and we could do this just as good as they do it, if not better.
for
And we
sure.
were just very convinced. Like, you couldn't knock us off our square. You know what I mean? And so
I
I
love
think
that.
with Warren, with that being in his heart, with him being a producer, making all of this incredible music, you got us. We from the hood, we from Inglewood, but we also from church. We also
Mhm.
young. I think you got a combination of what was true to us at the age and stage we were in, and that's how you got that record Thankful. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It was so not contrived. If anything was contrived, I would say that it would be the records after, uh you know uh Thankful, because we didn't have enough information
Mhm.
to be contrived. We didn't
Right.
know enough to know that we needed to be contrived. We were just like, we just need to be the best of us. And
Yeah, we just
with the
straight from
help
these
that we
gospel
got
streets.
from, say it again.
You straight from these gospel streets.
That part. And we
Right.
knew, with the help of, this great marketing team, this incredible budget, all these great executives, some nice style and all of this kind of stuff, that, what we feel like, is suitable to us, whatever. Y'all do the part that y'all do, but we do the part that we do. We make the music. There may
Yeah.
have been something in Warren's head that said, "I'ma show them." I don't know, but me and Erica did not know to do that. I will
Mm.
say this: we had a producer, our publisher, Big John. Shout out to John
Shout out to
Platt,
John, Big John.
who is
Yeah,
now
salute.
head of Sony Publishing.
Hmm.
But Big John was our publisher, right? And sometimes we was writing songs, and he would be like, "What y'all talking about? Is it like goosebumps?" So we could tell that like writing in certain ways that was very specific to the Christian community
Hmm.
meant that people that was not very specific to the Christian community wouldn't understand us. So
Right.
we began to adjust our communication, not our point,
Right.
not our bottom line,
Hmm.
not our faith, but our communication of it, so that if you were not where we were from, if you didn't know God the way we knew him, if you didn't grow up the way we grew up, we could still have a conversation about
For
our
sure.
faith that you could understand. Those was the only agendas, period.
Right.
Period.
I
And
love that.
God breathed on, first of all, God is the one that must have put it in our hearts to get down like that. God is the one who gave us this confidence that some would deem as arrogance. God is the one that gave us these gifts. And I think he gave us these great gifts. He breathed on our willingness to submit it and commit it to him, and he made it great. That's what I think.
Yeah. No. That makes it's in simple form. Um, it's just it's the whole it's gospel the Erica Tina Warren way. That's just bottom line. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And and a great point you made in a nutshell. It's gospel is it's a bunch of it's the gospel. First of all, it's the gospel. So we're not going to go into this, but for all of you trying to leave the name Jesus out of songs, that's a whole other topic. But first of all, this is the
The
gospel.
because gospel is the good news of
Exactly.
Jesus Christ. If you
Exactly.
are not talking about the good news, the goodness of Jesus Christ in some way, from what he's
Yep.
done for you, for who he is, for how he represents his father, for how he is the way to the father, if you're not presenting that by way of your music, I don't know what it is. It's probably inspirational. And there is a difference. There's
Right. For
inspirational and
sure.
there's
For
gospel.
sure.
There's inspiration, and but like again, we didn't try to leave Jesus out. Like
Right.
Jesus was the center. And if you ever followed our interviews, there were times where they asked us, because they was telling us even back then, like, that can be offensive to certain communities. I was like, Jesus so powerful that y'all get offended when we mention his name. Ain't nobody stuffing Jesus on you. I'm just telling you my story. I'm just telling you about my Jesus in my life. Like, why is that offending you? So
Why is that
clearly
offending
he's
you?
yeah, he's powerful, and the devil gets uncomfortable when you start talking about that that name. Um, but we were not trying to modify, dumb down, weaken Jesus or the gospel in any way. Again, we were in our 20s. We were
Yeah.
young. We were from the hood, but we believed in God. And all we wanted to do was give the world what we believed they would believe in and like and want if they just had an opportunity to get it. And
And y'all
God
did
used
that.
Sony to make sure the world got it.
Yep, and y'all did that in such a big way. I remember hearing Shackles for the first time at my cousin's wedding reception. They walked in to Shackles. They walked in to in the building with Shackles, and it was a party in that thing. I'm gonna tell you that right off the
We
back.
love it.
But I love that, and I love it was such a refreshing sound also. And watching interviews with you and Erica, I think you guys remind me of sisters who happen to sing, not a music group or not a duo, right? Now I know professionally it is what it is, but I think you guys were so 100% authentic. It just rang off like you're doing an interview with your sister. And I think that's a unique thing when I think about, watching entertainers and how they put the character face on or they do the whole performance. Everything's performative, even their interviews. And I love the fact that you and your sister just seemed like sisters. It was just a loving family dynamic
We
and
weren't,
how you operate within all your sisters. I
yeah.
love seeing that.
We were not trained and taught to be artists and to be performers. We were taught to be sisters. We were taught to be
Yeah.
family. We
Yeah.
just happened to sing. And we were conditioned and trained to sing, but not
For
to be
sure.
artists and performers. We were trained and conditioned to give our best. The way we used to get down at our church was like we was performing on the Grammys. The way
Hmm.
we used to get down on choir night and our specific events, first of all, we'd be out there on Crenshaw, which is one of the main streets in Inglewood, inviting everybody from the whole hood to our church, and they thought we was cute. We was like, can I get your number? We was like, come, no, you can come see me at church tonight. You know what I mean? And so we was
Yeah.
going out there the same way that Mary Mary's music was able to attract the attention of the world and bring them into gospel music, or just
Hmm.
even the whole topic of God or interest in the Lord. We used to do that at Evangelistic Church of God in Christ in preparation
Right.
for choir night. We would go hit Crenshaw and Slauson, and everybody that's from where we from, they know
Hmm.
Crenshaw and Slauson.
Hmm.
We would go hit that intersection up and be passing out flyers, inviting everybody to come, and they was definitely trying
Wow.
to get our number. We was like, pull up to church tonight. That's where we could talk. You know what I mean? And
I
then we
love
would
it.
we would present gospel. We would present gospel music like
Hmm.
it was the Grammys, like it was the Oscars, like it was the BET Awards, like it was like you know what I'm saying, it was like one of these just Omega concerts. Like we really did look at it that way.
Right.
So that was
For
our
sure.
preparation. That was our training. But our greatest training for me and Erica was to be sisters, was to be family that had each other's back. And so and we didn't have no media training. We had no media training to what, like the second or third record, like, so we didn't know how to be nobody but us.
I love that.
Yeah.
How I want to ask you a question. How's your relationship with God kind of evolved through the different seasons of your life, like whether personal or professional? Um, I know dealing with a lot of things, and you're hoisted into fame, and then now you have this other life, which seems like another life happening at the same time your real life. Well, I mean, they're both real, but you understand what I'm trying to say. Your real life is happening. How did your relationship with God kind of evolve through that? Um, being
um
being Christian and famous.
Very good question, being Christian and famous. um what happened was, I will say this, a lot of people
Mhm.
that grow up in church, we take what we got for granted.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
how, like, you sitting up with this good mama and good daddy, and that's just normal, and then you meet all your friends and they ain't got no daddy, and they mad at you because they like your life is wonderful, or you got good parents that feed you, and then you got these friends who be starving every day, and like you
Yeah.
don't realize that that's like your privilege and you blessed. That's just normal to you, right? And so growing up in the faith, I think that we knew it was good. We loved it. We
Yeah.
knew we was exclusive to it, but we didn't understand how blessed we were and how privileged we were to grow up knowing Jesus. Um, to even grow up being in a family whose life was based around our faith, because fame didn't mean everything to us.
Right.
God did. Even though we
Wow.
were immature in our faith, even though, we wasn't trying to be out there being like, like being the bishop and we wasn't, it was just like, I will say, I don't know how intentional we were with our practice of growing in our faith
Mm.
until we became Mary Mary. Because when we were thrust out there as Mary Mary,
Oh,
I ain't
okay.
gonna lie, I went into a panic. I was like, oh, we ministers. Oh, okay, so now these people is expecting us to like have answers and be good
Yeah.
godly people,
Right.
and like, I know me, so that okay, so that's, first of all, that's a problem. And then I was like, God, why'd you pick me? Because what if I ain't on, and then these people are watching me trying to get to you, like it might not work out.
Right.
So, like, understanding that we had to cultivate our faith more and be very intentional with our walk, I will have to be very honest with you and say that we came to know that I came to know that, or have that conviction and that, like, compelling, a lot more when I became Mary Mary, because I was like, they're watching us.
Yeah.
They're watching us. So if they don't see God in us, they might not get God, which means we just entertainers. And I was like, I refuse to just be an entertainer. I'm a gospel singer. I'm out here on agenda. So I
Yeah.
can't be out here entertaining these people, giving them goosebumps, making them feel good. And by the time it's all done, they know me and they don't know my Jesus. Like, then I'm a failure.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
I felt that burden. And as life, as you begin to mature and you have children and life happens and all of that kind of stuff, you get to walk it out, and then you make your mistakes, and then you have days where you're not really that Christian, or your days where you're theoretical Christian. You have days where you're kind of going on autopilot. You're not intentionally sinning. You're not intentionally, living a life where your heart is far from God and you fake it in front, but you're just not intentional. I would
Right.
liken it to you married, right, bro? So
Yes.
so you know how it is when you was dating your wife, you was extremely intentional with her because
Mhm.
you trying to get her. You
For
trying to
sure.
seal the deal. Then you get married, you ain't make it that important to get your hair cut. You ain't make it that
Mm,
important to be on deck with your clothes. You over here
right.
dressing regular. When you go out somewhere, you nice, but just when you just regular with her, you ain't on no
Mhm.
more. You know what I'm saying? You ain't calling her all the time the way you used to. It's
Yep.
like I see you at the house. You can be distant at the house and not even talking, but when you was dating, you sitting up going to sleep on
Wow.
the phone for 3 hours. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that intentionality in dating, I realized that there were times in my Christian walk as I was growing and evolving where I wasn't like intentionally going another way, going away from God, but I wasn't intentional enough about my pursuit, intentional enough about my growth, intentional enough about studying the Bible, intentional enough about taking time away just
Yeah.
to like be with God. If I got to be out here representing God, I need to be taking some intentional time to be with God. If I got to go out there and pour out of myself, I need to take some time and be poured into.
For
So I
sure.
don't, I would definitely say that I definitely failed in many respects, in many phases of my life, with not being intentional enough in my pursuit of God, in my surrender to God, in making time for just me and God and not me representing God. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But because God is so faithful, because he's so merciful, because he's so gracious. When he chooses you, he know you're gonna be throwed off. When he chooses you, he know you're gonna be inconsistent. When he chooses you, he knows you're gonna lose, your way. And God has been, for me, God has been patient with me because God knew in my heart I never
Mhm.
wanted anybody or anything but God. Now that is the
Mhm.
God's honest truth. How I went about that, sometimes I was distracted by
Yeah.
kids, by husband, by schedule, by
Mhm.
um sometimes I got absorbed by what I was in. um but because god
Wow.
god knew that in my heart, what I really wanted was him. And sometimes the blessings that he gives becomes temptations because your eyes is on God to get these blessings. Then you get these blessings and your eyes is on these blessings. And so
Yeah. Yeah.
I've lost my way. I
Wow.
gave too much attention to my husband, too much attention to my kids, too much
Mhm.
attention to my performance outfits, too much attention to the business of my affairs. I've done all of that. But one thing about God, he been faithful. He been consistent the whole time. And he waited till I actually matured and knew how to be intentional with my walk. And so to be here after I've done Mary for 25 years and all of that kind of stuff, I still have a platform. I still have a demand. I still have opportunities that I'm turning down regularly because I've got other things that I got to do with my life and my time. Like right now, I'm in the process of healing from life. And I'm
For
like,
sure.
man, God, you waited. You just waited. When I open up my mouth to sing again, when I open up my mouth
Mhm.
to talk about my God again, it's gonna be a whole different situation because I done lived this thing. I done walk with him, but more importantly, he done walk with me. It's different. When I sing
Man.
shackles again, and I can say, get these shackles off my feet so I can dance. I just want to praise you. I've been through the fire and the rain, bound in every kind of way, but
Mm,
God has
mm,
broken every chain. So let me go right now. When I sing that song again, it's going to be different. When God restores my full voice, because I kind of have had voice issues for about 7 years now.
mm.
When all of this happens, it's going to be a problem because I did not fully understand how good this God was
Wow.
that I sang about. I didn't understand how kind Jesus had been to me. I did not understand fully. And I don't know if I ever fully understand till I'm over there with the Lord. You know what I mean? How the power of the name Jesus and his power in my life. So it's gonna be real different when I when I get busy singing and stuff again. Oh, these songs they gonna be on some whole different stuff because I
Man.
know God differently, and I am not playing. Like nothing is more important to me than God. Nothing and no one. Period. I will forego everything for the Lord, for my relationship with Him, because nothing has been as good to me as God has been. I don't know how I got from there to the question that you asked, but
You know what? No, it went just where it was supposed to go. And and first of all, I appreciate every last word. Um, because it reminded me of myself in moments, not even that for recent moments, present moments where I would I'll be dealing with myself and as you live in life and you're dealing with your things, marriage, financial stuff, life, my kids, my other distant family, all these things. The internet is a whole different monster, right? And sometimes I sit back and I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't. Now this may seem like lightweight to somebody who's not a believer, but I'll sit back and like, wait a minute, I didn't even pray today. I went my whole day and didn't even inquire about. And then you start to think like, well, how much more did I miss by worrying about all these other things? And then you start to do the whole, oh, I ain't doing enough. I'm not doing enough. Like you said, my pursuit of God. I'm not pursuing Him enough. I just been living this thing out. I just been acting like I magically woke up this morning by the power of by the power of luck. I act like that's how that happened, right? And it breaks me down almost every time. Ooh, Lord. It breaks me. It breaks me down almost every time because get it together. Because it's I used to when I was newly into the church, I used to say, why are people run my church? I go to Great Zion in Compton. I'm like, why do these people fall all over the place and run out the I used to do as a new Christian, like, what are they doing? And once I start to get to know Him and praying to Him and building a relationship with Him, and then you take all that with your struggles that you go out throughout the day, the things the weight that was holding you down, that was crushing you, and then you find yourself in a car about to wreck because you just remembered how God got you through something that you couldn't get yourself out of. And you start to remember how God pulled you out that hospital when the doctor said you ain't going nowhere. Or you just remember all these things, how these miracles that people don't realize are miracles and what God has been doing for you the whole time. You start to think, how can I wake up any day and not thank Him?
that
How
part,
can I wake up any day and not live a life for Him and not praise His name? How could I even go for a second without telling somebody about Him if He did all this for me? And as you're talking, it just got me thinking, like, Lord have mercy, like all the things in my life. I don't even know how. I mean, I know how because I know the magic, and the magic is Jesus Christ, and I know the power and the grace and the favor, and and I knew talking to you was going to take me somewhere because I'm talking to somebody boldly in it. I'm talking to somebody loud about Him, right? And I think the reason why this conversation is so important, and I don't mind if you go off because this is where you're supposed to go. It's not you to go off on a tangent. You went where you're supposed to go because I truly also believe. First of all, I prayed before I got on to start talking to you about this, and I prayed because I need God to take it where it needs to go. Because
mhm.
not only are you and I having a conversation, there's somebody listening right now who needs to hear everything you're saying. There's
Yeah,
somebody right now who's listening right now who don't know Jesus at all and may be inquiring about Him and may want to see about Him. And that's why this conversation is so important because it's not just about Tina Campbell. I
hmm
mean, it is. We're talking to Tina Campbell, and we want to learn her and hear from her. But your voice, and you talked about the ministering part, right? This is a part of the ministry. This is a part of you talking about Jesus and telling Sony, oh, this is how gospel goes. This is gospel. This is what's to be said. This is about the good news. if it ain't about the good news, why would I be doing it? Right.
Exactly.
And
That that
it's
that
a
ain't
beautiful thing. I
that ain't what
appreciate
I do.
you in this. Right. 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 Oh man, I'm blessed. I am blessed. Just you almost made me lose it. I was going to tell you right
Listen,
now.
I feel this in my spirit, so I'm gonna just, there's a song that it is we used to call it a congregational devotional song that
Mhm.
says, "When I think of the goodness of Jesus and what He has done for me, then
Mm-mm-mm.
my soul cries out, Hallelujah." Praise God, God for saving me.
Lord have mercy.
Or our song, when it don't make sense and you can't understand it, thank God. Amen.
Amen.
Everything's going wrong, still God has a plan. Thank God.
Lord have.
Amen. He's the biggest, the greatest. He has all power. Thank God. Amen. He's the undefeated champion. Why would I doubt him? Thank God. Amen. See,
Wow.
these people don't, they a lot of people that may be watching, when you get to have an experience with God, when you get to have an experience with life, when you get to have an experience with the devil and these demons,
Mm,
and you get to understand how much God had your back, how much God never left you while you left him,
mm,
how much God was faithful while we were inconsistent, how much God was there sustaining you when you thought you was going to lose your mind and you thought it was going to take you down. You thought it was the worst that it could ever get. And you still here. So you made it through and you realize only God gives breath. So that's
only
you.
him.
Two, when it gets like that, you get excited and you just, somebody asks you a question and you go all over the place because you just like, if you only knew what I knew about this God that I'm talking about. No, this
Oh
ain't no
Lord, only
religious
know.
thing. This ain't no weird thing, and you don't
Right.
have to believe it, but I'm going to believe it because I have experienced it and it is true and it is real. And when you're excited about something and when something has moved you and something has changed you and something has brought you from there to here, you want to share it. You want to share it.
Right.
Like if you got this good cake and all your friends around, you want to give them a piece of cake. I just want people to have some of the cake. You know what I mean? You want to share it because it's like I can't keep it to myself. Like
Right.
it's too powerful. So you like you just you can get really excited when you think about, like, man, God been good to me. That's all I'm saying. Like God been good to me.
Be good.
God been good to me. And if I get excited, it's because I got to. I can't help it. It's gonna be hard to retain if we talk about this for too long because ain't nobody been better than him. Period.
Man,
Ain't nobody did for me what Jesus did. So yeah, we get real excited, we get real lit, we go a little hard because it's necessary.
I love it. Oh Lord. Okay. Okay. Um, where were you? Do you remember the mental space you were in when you recorded It's Personal? Do you
Mm.
remember what was that like at that time? Do you remember the thought process going into this album you're about to create? What was that like?
Um, First of all, I'd gone through hell. I'd gone through infidelity in my marriage, and then I had recovered from that. God had brought me and my husband through at that time. We had healed from it.
Mhm.
And so, because music is my language, music is my primary language. God spoke to me in music. And so while I was healing and while I was pursuing God in prayer and fasting and reading my word, whenever I was inspired, whenever I felt like I got an understanding or revelation, like everything came to me in music. And I was writing all of these songs that like I wasn't intentionally trying to write songs. I wasn't making myself available to write songs. I
Right.
wasn't thinking about writing songs. I wasn't even in artist mode. I was in broken down, trying to heal mode. And all these songs kept coming to me nonstop. And I was like, these songs are personal to me. They're not, this ain't Mary Mary. And all I had to do at
Yeah.
that point was Mary Mary. And so I was like, I think I'm supposed to do a record. And so that record was birthed out of my
Mhm.
healing from infidelity, that whole big public humiliation and embarrassment from all of that. What
Mhm.
came out of that was healing. and music
I
and
love it.
ministry that was able to, be a blessing to countless other people that was hurting.
I'm so glad. I want to say first of all, thank you for that. Um, Thank you for being as a listener. We, as a true listener who loves music, and as a true listener who loves gospel music. Um, the one thing, like you said, okay, we expect the good news, right? But we also expect honesty,
Hmm.
and we appreciate. I can appreciate your honesty when approaching music in this album because that was your way to heal, to get through something, things to be mended together, and it's God led.
Yeah.
And I'm always about helping. I'm always about a good testimony. What's going to help, like help you, and in return help probably millions of people, right? And I love and I can appreciate your honesty when going into somebody made a comment very early on in this interview. They say, "I love how honest she is," right? Because we can. It feels like, and I'm not just saying this. Tina Campbell is a safe space. None of us are perfect. None of us are perfect. We all have our things, but I could I could trust I could trust that you are a safe space for me and my things. Right? I'll talk to you about things. I've expressed to you very personal things, and not that I can talk to the word about these things, but what I'm saying is that I trust that it's going to be taken in and processed and respected, and maybe give. I know that I'm dealing with someone who deals in ministry, who's God led, who's walking that Christian walk, and will give me the best of what she thinks about this advice or whatever, and pray for me if we got to get down to it, right? And I think people feel this way about you, whether you do an interview, whether they hear you over a song, whether they see you perform live. It's an anointed, because people will use the word anointed, right? And well, I'm dealing with the anointed people. But here's the thing: another thing they don't. It's the safe space, the trusting part of someone opening their heart and letting it pour, right? Letting you see the inside of them without worrying about the weaponizing of whatever I just gave you, right? But also because I'm covered in blood. So that's a whole nother that's a whole nother thing. I'm not worried about what you're trying to do with that. But I think people are seeing that you are a safe space. And I can appreciate that a lot, a whole lot.
You know
Really.
what? That ain't nobody but God's doing, says, because I told you earlier on in the interview, I dealt with rejection. So a
Mhm.
lot of times the way that I would my whole persona was underlying, like, I don't want to be rejected by people. Like, not that I went out like I want everybody to like me, but I
Right, right.
definitely wanted to be understood so that I wouldn't be disliked. And I had this like false confidence, like, you don't like me, I like me, where I was doing too much,
Mm,
um and so um I'm not like being vulnerable about my, if a person who wants to be accepted, a person who comes from rejection, and a person that wants to be accepted would never knowingly do things that would possibly cause you to be rejected.
right.
Sometimes telling about your trash and all of that kind of stuff will make people not like you, judge you, and all of that kind of stuff, for only reasons that God knows. A person that, and I'm literally just now making sense of this since you just called me a safe space. I come from being rejected. I'm right now in the middle of some healing, just finished some healing Saturday, Monday, and yesterday. Still in the program, don't finish until September, to deal with the impact of rejection on my life. So I never wanted to do anything to make myself be rejected, because that's what I felt that messed me up at the early stage. But for some reason, God in his infinite wisdom would choose somebody like me
Mm,
that want to be accepted bad, to go out there and say stuff that would possibly cause people to fully reject me and then give me tough skin. Like I got a lot
Mm.
of tough skin when it comes to being out there because I feel like this ain't for me. This ain't for me and this ain't about me. This is about God. So it's a different kind of, if you don't accept my testimony, I'm not the thing is that's so sad for you because it could have helped you. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that
Right.
whole I need them to accept me. I don't not on the platform. Not on the
Right.
platform, like at
Yeah.
home personally, but not in that space. That's how I know that God has definitely called me to do this because me sharing all my personal stuff is extremely contrary to how I operate. Like, I got a big personality. I'm the life of the party when I come in, but my kids and my family, we private. You're not having them. They my
Yeah.
kids is not celebrities. You're not gonna
Mm-hmm.
have every single solitary thing that we do. I'm posting about it. That's our own personal moments. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
everybody having all my pictures, all my stuff. Every time like this with my grandbaby and my baby's graduation and the whole world always get it. No, you have your own life. And when you see us, God bless you. But my life, my personal life is not for everybody to have. It's mine.
Mhm.
And I'm very territorial, if you will, about my
Yeah.
personal life and my personal stuff and my personal friends. But when it comes to like my testimonies, I'm real like it's almost immediate that I'm ready to share it because I'm again when I think of the goodness of Jesus and all that he's done for me,
Mm.
my soul is crying out, hallelujah, thank God for saving me. So I want somebody else to know how he can save them. I
For
want
sure.
somebody else to know about his goodness. I want somebody else to know how he can get them out of their pits and out of their stuff. So it's funny that the once rejected girl that wants to be accepted is willing to go out on the limb uh for God, no matter what kind of rejection that I get, as long as it draws somebody to God. Only God could do that. And you just
Only
helped me
God
to
can do
see
that.
that. And you saying that I was a safe space. Only God could create that. And I'm so
Wow.
completely grateful because I'm literally just doing what I am. It's not contrived. I mean, I guess that's
Mm.
why it comes out the way that it comes out. Like I'm compelled to share. I really am. I'm compelled to tell somebody, and I be having to restrain myself because I'd be so excited. Like I got off the phone with my sister Erica right before I did this, and she was just calm down, Tina. You take it in, and just just you take it in. And I was like. I was like, nigga, shut up. Let me share my little testimony, right? My little excitement, right? But I'll be excited and I'll be ready to go. And that's a God thing. That's a God thing. And I think he's put that in me. I don't fear people's rejection. I don't fear
Yeah.
people's backlash.
Yeah.
And I don't when God has given me a testimony and I'm sharing to help somebody, I don't acquaint myself with whatever it is that people are now acquainted. I don't acquaint myself with the problem that I was. I'm testifying about it
Right.
because it was a test that I passed. I don't acquaint myself with how downtrodden I
I love
was.
that.
I wasn't there. Now I'm here. If you want to feel sad about that, that's your problem. And maybe I can hug you through my old life. But I'm not living that life.
Mm.
I'm not
Yeah.
living in that pain. I'm not living in whatever that those feelings that it makes you feel, whoever is listening. I don't feel that anymore. That's why I can boldly talk about it. And sometimes me boldly talking about it is helping other people to see you ain't got to live in the shame of your past. It's
For
behind
sure.
you. Like
For
I'm
sure.
back there looking at that problem and crying about it, but I ain't in it no more. I should be over here shouting while I'm looking at that problem because I'm past
Right.
it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
so, yeah,
Yeah.
that whole being safe and being open and being honest, God created that because I like for my personal family to be personal.
Yeah.
But when it comes to testimony, I feel like people need to know the goodness of God. Somebody got to be bold enough. And so I'll do it. And I don't see any of it as embarrassing. Like it don't make me cringe. Actually, I will tell you this. Sometimes when I when I hear my testimonies back, or when I'm like watching my own TV show, I was like,
Yeah.
girl, what was you thinking? Who does that? But I don't think like that in the moment, and I'm grateful that I don't, because if I think like that in the moment, I guess you wouldn't be saying that people feel like I'm this safe space. I guess if I thought about it, many of the marriages that was saved by watching mine fall apart and then come back together, maybe they wouldn't have had that save. Many people who didn't see real family issues with our sisters and then a family coming back together loving each other still, if we wasn't bold and honest about that, maybe
Yeah.
people wouldn't have something as a reference point of what they could get through and get over. You know what I mean? So I'm grateful to be able to share my testimony, and I'm grateful that God don't let the opinions of others hurt me. I done dealt with
Right.
another hurt, enough hurt personally, and a lot of things personally have hurt me and hurt me deeply. But it doesn't feel the same on the outside. It did for a little while. When I first walked away from the music industry, it
Hmm.
started to hurt. It started to hurt, and I didn't like it. And then I started
Mm.
becoming very Inglewood the block, and I was like, oh, I got to go
Uh,
because I
yeah,
this I
yeah,
can't never be Mary and whatever this is that's rising up in me because of my
yeah.
anger about people's opinions
Yeah.
and stuff. So for a little while, it started to affect me. But God, God, again, when God anoints you to do something and He empowers you and enables you to do something, what's
Mhm.
hard for others is easy for you, and that's just the supernatural power of God working in
Yeah.
you. You know what I mean?
Wow.
It's the God in me. Hey,
That's another thing that lets you know how real those songs are, because you
man,
can relate right back to a real situation.
man.
Speaking of, not to go into past things or past things in life, but we understand that we deal with um, ups and downs in our lives, and you've dealt with ups and downs in your life, just like we all have. And one of the biggest things, and I would say, well, I speak for myself, that I've been doing really well with forgiveness, right?
Mhm.
And it was a struggle for a very long time, and it's probably gonna be a struggle tomorrow, depending on what goes on, right?
Don't speak
But
that over yourself. You gonna
I
do
know,
it tomorrow
I
in Jesus'
know.
name.
You're right, you're right. Um, what would you say to someone who wants to forgive but is still struggling with pain?
I got a song. One, I have a lot of unreleased songs, but one of them
Mm.
says, "Unforgiveness is bondage, and I don't want to do it because I want to live, want to live, want to live. I want to live, want to
Mm.
live, want to live." It goes on to say, "I thought it would kill me, but thank God I'm
Right.
still here. I want to live, want to live, want to live." What I would say is unforgiveness is a death sentence to people that are alive. I have
Wow.
lived it. I have lived it. I have lived through unforgiveness. I have lived through forgiveness. And then I started living again through unforgiveness. I have lived through unforgiveness for the biggest things and unforgiveness for the simplest things. And unforgiveness keeps you like a dog chasing your tail.
Wow.
Unforgiveness brings on torment. Unforgiveness always puts you in the place of your problem at the most severe uh, stage of it. Unforgiveness is a death trap for the people who choose it. I would not recommend it. It ain't wise to be.
Ah, man. Wait, you there? Can you hear me? Can you hear me still, Tina? Your screen went blank. She was going in too. Can you hear me, Tina? Tina, can you hear me? Man, sorry about you guys. Sorry about that. We're dealing with some technical difficulties. Tina was going in too, man. I really love this interview, and man, I hope you guys are blessed. Um, yeah, she clocked out. She was going in, man. Let me see. Try to log off and log back on. Is she there? Let me see. Try to log it back on. um, yeah, she was going in too, man. I'm just man. This has been such an amazing time for me. Honored to have even be having this conversation with her. Just man, it's too many gems, too many gems. Shout out to GFS Blackout, Rich Religion. Yeah, shout out to everybody in the building. Aaron Price is still in the building. Um, she gonna pop back in. Paige with Pops. Shout out to my sister. My sister definitely in the building. Happy birthday, Tanya. I love you. Definitely in the building. Aphrodite in the building. Let me see.
Sorry,
Bam.
bro. I don't know what
No,
happened.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't know what happened,
Oh,
bro.
no. Look, Tina. Look, I don't. First of all, I don't even care. Let me just say that because I was just telling them I'm so blessed by this conversation. I don't care. I don't care. This ain't look. We gonna get it going. We've had a great conversation, and the people. I was going through the comments when you were off. I was going through the comments. People are just being blessed by
Oh,
the
bless
words.
God.
Man,
Bless God.
it's such a it's and you were going you were going off too when you went off. Um, Let me see. Kind of reel us back in here. Um, I had a question for you. Oh, can you hear me? You off again? What happened? She went off again? Ah, man. I don't know what's going on. Can't you hear me? Tina, can you hear me? Let me see. I hear her, but let me see. Oh yeah, okay. Ace boy Dogface, what's good? Let's see. There we go. You there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, okay, okay.
So I think the devil
Well,
mad don't want us talking, but we gonna get it in.
look, he can't do nothing. He can't do nothing but talk. He can't do nothing but talk and try to interrupt stuff. But we are locked in already,
Listen,
and people are already blessed by what's been going on today.
the power of
I'm
God
so
done already hit. It's too late.
it's too late. Um, I only got about a couple more questions that we can roll out. You gonna try to do? We spent a lot of time on here, and man, powerful conversation. And I'm not just saying that. I really enjoy talking to you. I really every time I talk to you, I'll be about to go to church, and I love it because I love it because I'm creating a community around me that I'm making the way I've been moving in my life. Every time I do turn around and look at somebody, they love Jesus like I love Jesus. Like we just love God, and we can talk about God. We can express ourselves in that way. God start putting people around you that you can confide with, that you can pray with, that's going to pray for you. And I love having these conversations because, like I said, somebody is always blessed by him. And I'm blessed by it, but I know not only am I blessed by it, somebody in the comments will be blessed by it as well. And I love that. Let me ask you this. I had this question wrote. Oh, I had this question written down. So, okay, we know that you live. There's there's Mary Mary. There's Tina Campbell, solo Tina Campbell's, right? Two albums and a book. All right, two albums and a book, right? Yeah.
Prayer book. Yep.
Yep. Two down prayer book, right? Um. So you ever since Mary Mary, you just been in the limelight, right? Been and I know that's a struggle in itself sometimes, especially when you love your family. Like I feel like everybody should love their family, right? Your family should be before that, right? And I know it can be a struggle having demands and scheduling and all these things, but you want to be with your family. Um, what's something that people don't understand? I mean, what's something that people often misunderstand about Tina Campbell?
Now people do a people's like people almost say to me, like, we know you don't really like this, and we know you just really want to be with your kids. Like I don't enjoy what I do. This is what I will say, in all honesty. I was
Mhm.
not grateful for all that I had been given. I didn't understand the magnitude of the blessing that I had been granted in God choosing me to be Mary Mary. Like, first of all, if there's anybody that's underqualified for the job, that would have been me. But he picked me anyway. You understand what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying? If there was anybody that didn't always represent him right, that would have been me. But he picked me anyway. If there was any, like, Mary Mary took me from living on welfare to being able to live a blessed life from just representing the same God that I was representing at my church. Like, I didn't have to become nothing else. I didn't have to sell my soul. I didn't have to do that. I didn't
Mhm.
have to exploit the gospel, exploit me in any kind of way. And I was just blessed by it. And I did not appreciate it because I did not dream the dream of Mary Mary. I did not appreciate the dream of Mary Mary. So I got to be honest
Mm.
about that. Like, I did love it and I did enjoy it, but I didn't
Yeah.
really, really appreciate it. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And so a lot of people think now, like, we know you don't really like that. Are you serious? Like, I love Mary Mary. I love Mary
Mhm.
Mary's music. I love Mary Mary. Like I'm a fan too. You know what I mean?
For
Not a
sure.
fan of me, but just a fan of what God has done. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I love Mary Mary. I love my sister. I love my family and my household. I was going through my stuff in front of
Yeah.
the whole world. I was a rejected girl who just wanted to be loved and accepted. So and then I also came from a family where my mother and father was married and divorced to each other 3 times. The world don't
Mm.
understand that you going home fighting for family and trying to make sure that you giving your best to your family because you've been traumatized by what happened growing up. So you scared that
Right.
if I don't give the best of me to my family, I'm just gonna be a big star, and then my family is gonna be broken up, and my kids gonna feel like I really feel deep down inside. So I think
Mm.
that a lot of people don't understand that sometimes our trauma is what has a lot to do with why we not a lot of times your trauma has to do a lot to do with what you do. So I love Mary Mary. I'm grateful for Mary Mary. But what I always longed for was not Mary Mary. What I always longed for was a happy, healthy family, marriage,
Yeah.
my kids, and all of that. Because
Yeah.
I didn't realize I believed that to be stolen from me as a kid. I didn't want to succeed at anything beyond. I didn't want to succeed at anything more than that. So I might have went to extreme measures. I might have taken myself away when I didn't have to do all of that. I might have not been as grateful for Mary Mary because I wanted this so much. And I might have thought that I couldn't do. I might have gone through all of that in my response to trauma or my need for acceptance, feeling like that rejected little 4-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Because that's when I
Yeah.
remember my first stage, my first experience with like knowing that I've been rejected. You know what I mean? And so I love Mary Mary. I totally love to sing and enjoy singing more so now than I did during the time because I really appreciate God for giving me that gift.
Yeah.
Now, I really appreciate God for every record that I made, for how many millions it sold, for how much it impacted the whole world, for all these awards. Like if you came to my house, you would not see not one of my awards around. When I get through this healing stage and all of that, and I built my next house, I'm putting my awards all over the place. I never have had my awards all over the place because I never valued it like that. I remember when we was doing our reality TV show, the executives from the main TV network that
Yeah.
that gave us the deal to do the show.
Uh, mhm.
She came to my house one day, and I had a really nice size house. She came to my house one day, and I had all of my awards just sitting like in the windowsill. And she said, "Is this what you think of these Grammys?" And I thought to myself, what I'm supposed to think? Like what? And so shortly thereafter, I made the big expansive shelf and case to put all of
Mhm.
my awards on. But up to that point in time, that was like I was 12 years in,
Yeah.
13 years in. I didn't have not one award nowhere. I had it at the
Wow.
very start of my life in my first house. And then, I got to parenting. So I stopped. The awards was going in they was going in the garage. They were standing in their cases and stuff. And then, I'm in a house that I know I'm not gonna be in for a long time now. So I'm not putting all of that great effort into all of that. But like when I built my next home,
Yeah.
because I believe my next home is I'm not moving no more because I don't like moving all over the place. Having homes and all of
Okay.
that to visit,
Yeah.
fine, but I like to live in one place. Just living
Mm.
in another, no. So when I get there, I will probably have because I don't intend to move again ever until I go see
Mm.
Jesus. That's it. Um, unless God says something different. But I'm gonna put my awards up and I'm gonna put all of that stuff up because I'm gonna be able to remind myself this is what God did. This is the
Yeah.
dream that God let me live that I didn't even know the dream. This is the blessings that God granted me that I didn't even know to ask for. These are the blessings that I wasn't even all that grateful for because I wanted something else, but he still gave it to me and he sustained them. And so I want
Yeah.
people to know that I am very grateful to be a part of Mary Mary. I totally and completely enjoy singing. I would do it completely for free. If there was no Mary Mary, I would still do what I do because I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I enjoy writing about God. I absolutely love my family. Fame doesn't make me famous. Being a good mother does. You know, being a good
For
family
sure.
member, being a good Christian, being a that's greater than fame and stuff like that to me. And I'm sorry, fame is good, it's nice, but it can't compete with family love. And that might be because of the way I grew up with my mom and daddy. And I told y'all about that. The way I grew up with my mom and daddy, even with all our flaws and our shortcomings, we had something so good at home that fame
For
can't touch
sure.
that. Like the
For
biggest problem
sure.
that I run into is having to go be somewhere when I know the family is gonna all get together and I ain't gonna be in them pictures and I ain't gonna be able to have them experiences. Like my family, like I'm
Yeah.
never booking no big concerts. I don't care what you got going on. I'm not missing Christmas. I'm not missing Thanksgiving. I'm gonna be here for my kids' birthdays. I'm not missing they major programs at school. One of my kids' coaches once said, never miss what you can't repeat, and I can't repeat raising my kids. I could
Yeah.
go on
Yeah.
tour again. I could go win another award again. I could go have a
Yep.
concert. I could have big moments. I cannot re-raise my kids. I ain't
Right.
missing that. Sorry. You know what I mean?
For
And
sure.
so I love my family. I'm exclusive. I love my family. My family is prioritized over whatever else I do, but I absolutely love what I do. I'm absolutely blessed to have this platform. I absolutely love my sister. What y'all see of us is real. That's how we are
Yeah.
at the crib.
Yeah.
I don't see myself as a star. I see myself as Tina, who became popular through singing. So that's probably why I don't act like that. I'm not trying to be so matter of fact and offend nobody. This is just how I am. And I don't know how to be anybody but myself. But I do give myself to God now. I have wisdom now. So I give
Yeah.
myself to God to perfect how I am because he's given me a platform and I want to use that platform well. But I don't put on airs for nobody. I don't want nothing enough to put on no airs for nobody.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but it's important to have wisdom. Like it's wisdom is more important to me than it was before. Handling my platform that God has given me well is more important than it used to be. Um, Making sure I'm a reflection of his love. Um, his love and my love for him is important to me, more important than those things used to be. So I believe the obnoxious Tina is dead because I don't like that. I don't like her. I don't
Yeah.
like her. I don't want to be that. Like a lot of ways that I used to be was because of my
Yeah.
issues. And I've been away dealing with my issues. I
Okay.
didn't want to be
Yeah.
on God's. It ain't that I hate my platform. It ain't that I hate
Right.
what I've done. It's not that I'm not grateful. I knew I had issues. So I went away to deal with my issues. And when God brings me back because he maintained and sustained my platform for me, I ain't going to be this girl with issues. And so I could give people what's beautiful that he placed inside of me rather
Sure.
than a little bit of that, a little bit of my issues. I give you a little bit of Jesus, then you don't want Jesus because I was a little too ignorant and all that kind of stuff. Like we
Right.
we
Right.
dealing with that so that I can
Yeah.
represent God well. And also he's blessed me to be able to, spend the time that I needed, the much needed time with raising my children. So I don't know. I think that's what I want people to know.
I love that. I love that. And what's crazy is I think you might have some of the answer might be covered in my last question. But I'm gonna ask it anyway. You let me know what you think. Because I was going to ask you about legacy, and I was going to ask you not just musically, but spiritually and personally. Um, what do you hope to leave? You know what I mean? And maybe I think in that question you covered a lot of the real Tina and what matters to you most, right? Family, love, God, God first, right? And but when it comes to legacy, maybe well, I mean, I guess the question I asked it, I was asked musically, spiritually, personally. What do you leave? What legacy do you hope to leave? I guess you did
Musically,
kind of cover that.
spiritually, personally. I
Mhm.
would say to you, my next prayer book that I did not know I was writing while I was living from like 2019 to now, I
Mhm.
pray a lot. I pray a lot and I write out my prayers. I write out my prayers. There's a scripture in Habakkuk, the book of Habakkuk,
Mhm.
uh, it's in the Old Testament, at the end of the Old Testament, Habakkuk, I believe it's 2:2. It says, "Write the vision and make it plain." So those can get it, can run with it. I didn't know that I was writing the vision for my family. I didn't know that I was
Mm.
writing what my legacy, what I wanted my legacy to be. I just thought I was praying. I thought I
Yeah.
was praying for me, praying for my family, praying for my marriage, praying for my kids, declaring over my kids. That's what I thought I was doing. And then one day while I was fasting, God just kind of impressed, like, I just felt like this impression that, that's a prayer book, right? And I was like, bet. And so I went and looked through all these prayers. And sure enough, I got a whole book. And so
Wow.
I would say a lot of my spiritual, natural, and financial legacy is right there
Mm.
in that prayer book that will be released at some point in time. That I didn't even know I was writing. Like, I was pouring out of the depths of my soul and my spirit, not this intentional, let me write out what I wanted to be and all of that kind of
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
It was what was pouring from my spirit authentically. You know what I'm saying? I believe that what's in that prayer book is the legacy. I told my kids, I said, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna give you the best, the best thing that anybody, my thoughts are, the best thing
Mm.
that any parent could give their kids, is what my parents gave me. I don't care what flaws my daddy had. I don't care what flaws my mama had. My parents are not, as a child, you expect your parents to be like heroes. They supposed to know it all. They supposed to figure it all out. They supposed to fix it all. But they are human. I'm grown
Yeah.
like they are now. I get it. They're human. Sometimes they're hurting.
Yeah.
Sometimes they come from brokenness. Sometimes they're doing the best that they know to do with the situation they're in. Sometimes they're overcome with fear or shame or feelings of inadequacy, whatever it is. Sometimes they've been hurt and harmed, and you don't realize the impact that's having on them while they trying to raise you. And
Right.
so, in the midst of all of whatever I experienced with my parents taught me how to pray. My parents took me to church so that I can have my own experience with Jesus. My
Yeah.
parents raised me with love. My parents raised me, they raised me, they fed me, they took care of me, they kept me safe. They protected me from my parents showed me love in a family setting, and then they gave me the love of God, and then they gave me the word of God. That was the greatest thing that my parents could ever do. If my daddy would have left me a whole bunch of money but didn't leave me that, he would have failed me, because I could go
Yeah.
squander that money and have a crazy mind and live a
Yeah.
crazy life. You know what I mean? Live with the poorest of the poorest soul. You know what I mean? While I got the riches in the bank. I would not ever want that. I want what my mama and daddy gave me. They gave me God's love naturally, and they directed me to God spiritually. And then when they
Wow.
let me go and I was old enough to make my own decisions, I was like, yep, I want God. Because you get old enough and you be like, no,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah.
God,
Right.
my
Right.
experience with God had been so good that I was like, no, I want him. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So my legacy to my children, I told my kids, I said, let me tell you right now, this is what I need y'all to know. I need y'all to know that I love you, and I will make any sacrifice necessary for you, except I ain't going to hell for you or with you. That's the one thing I ain't doing. You're going to do that by yourself. Okay.
Right.
I'm going to see Jesus. So if you want to go to hell, that's what you're going to do without me. Um, not for or with.
Right.
But I told my kids, I love you. I'm fully committed to you. I don't care what you do, what you have done, what kind of mistakes you have made, what kind of choices you will make. I will always love you. I will always advocate for you, because I am your mother and I legitimately love you. I will make commitment after commitment after commitment and sacrifices for you. So I need you to
Mm.
understand that. But even with that love, I need you to understand that God loves you more, and he loves you better than me. And I want you to know that. If I ever left here, I want you to know that. I also want you to know my Jesus, because I feel like with all the blessings that I've experienced in life, ain't nobody like Jesus. I want my
Man.
kids to know that the name of Jesus is powerful. It is the name above all names. I want my kids to
Name
know the
Jesus.
word, because I see the Bible as the manual for the created by the creator. If I'm trying to fix a Hyundai, I'm not going to be over here with a Mercedes Benz manual.
Yeah.
If I'm trying to
Yeah.
fix the stove,
Right.
I'm not going to be over here with no manual for the refrigerator. I feel
Mhm.
like the Bible is the manual for the created by the creator. So I told my kids, if you learn God's word, every single solitary thing that you need for every aspect of your existence is in there. So I want my legacy to them to be that. As it pertains to music, I will want their music to be birthed out of that. As it pertains to
Yeah.
finances, I
Yeah.
will want their finances to be birthed out of that. Like being the richest is not the biggest thing to me. You got these rich, crazy rich people. They got money that I ain't never even seen, killing themselves, fully miserable, totally divided, completely discontent.
Right.
Rich is what I got. Rich is what Eddie and Tommy gave they kids.
Mhm.
Rich is the part of me that ain't on the stage at this crib. That I'm
Right.
already, my money don't have to be, I'm richer here. You know what I'm saying?
Right. For
And I
sure.
want my kids to understand that. I don't want my kids to ever chase money. I don't want my kids to ever give money value for being everything. But I want my kids to be wise enough to know, like the Bible says, money answers all things. So you're going to need it. But the Bible also says the love of money is the root of all evil, because if you love it
Yeah.
so much, you'll do anything to get it. I don't ever
Anything. Do
want my kids to be
anything.
driven by money. And my kids know that. I was like, you can never buy me. I cost too much. Only Jesus could pay the price for me. That's why he the only one I'm going with. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I tell my kids that you do need it, but the Bible says God gives us the power to get wealth. So the power to get wealth is right inside of you. You don't need nobody to give you a job. You are the job. You create it right here, and God will show you how to put it, how to bring that right to your hand and go cash in at the
Mm.
bank with it. So those are the kind of things that I teach my kids as a legacy. It definitely is not entertainment centered. It's not what this culture senses. I get my foundation for my life from the word of God, because I have found with all of my strategists, with all of my teams, with all of my
Yeah.
advisors, with all of my wealth, with all of my fame, with all of my relationships, I have found that there is no wisdom greater than the wisdom of God. There
Yep.
is no love greater than the love of God. There is no wealth that can be produced greater than what God gives you with the gifts and talents and the
Yep.
abilities. And so that's what I give my children, and that's what I want them to take and run with. I said, if y'all get that, I can die tomorrow. Y'all be fine. Not that I want to die tomorrow, but I'm saying,
Right. Right. Right.
if y'all
Right.
get
Right.
that, I'll be okay with leaving, because that's what I want you to know.
Tina, man. I want to end on this question, but the question is, I think it's a lesson. First of all, I think it's important for the people to get this. Um, and I want to kind of go out on this question. The question is, it's about an experience in your life, right? Not any kind of experience. This is your. The question is about an experience that you'll think of, or whatever you think of when you hear this question. And then I think that's a good spot to end on a good lesson. Um, what's one lesson about obedience or purpose that God taught you the hard way?
That's a wonderful question. What God has taught me is that it's better to learn by revelation than tribulation. But unfortunately, I did not learn that way.
Mm,
Everything that God teaches me by tribulation, I learn for real. For real. I once heard somebody say, a lesson bought is a lesson taught. I had to buy the wisdom that I have
wow.
now. I had to
Yeah.
buy the experience that I had now. Like I had to go through hell to get where I am now. I was not a good listener. I knew everything. When you got
Hmm.
people who come from rejection and shame and what all their issues are, they always hide behind all their issues. They always know everything. They don't heal and get better quick, but they got an answer for everything. They lose what they
Hmm.
gain, but they got an answer for everything. I was her. And the hell, like for instance, right now, I know it doesn't seem like it. I'm going through hell in my real life.
Mm,
Nothing has changed, but everything has changed. You know why?
mm.
Because God changed my mind. God
Yeah.
changed my heart. So he didn't need to change my
Wow.
situation. I'm different in the middle of it. I don't need it to get fixed for me to get fixed. I don't need it to
Come on
be
now.
well for me to be well. Like the song says, it is well with
Mm, mm, mm.
me. It is well with me. It is well with me. It is well with my soul. It is well with me because I know that God has me in his hands. I know that God has me in a process that's going to lead to the promise. I
Wow.
don't ever want the promise before I get the process because I don't want to go through this hell again. You understand what I'm
That right
saying?
there. That
I
right
don't,
there.
yeah. No, we don't want to do this hell again. We want
Right.
to pass this test
Right.
so we don't have to do this again. So, God, take
Wow.
as long as you need to take. And I don't want no false fixes. I don't want the false fix in my marriage. I don't want the false fix with my kids. I don't want the false fix in my finances. I don't want the false fix in my career. I don't want the false fix from nobody. I want a real, true, authentic healing and deliverance so that when I get on the other side, I don't even need all of those things that I used to need. Like I just enjoy
Man,
life and freedom and joy. So all those other things is like icing on the cake. But God and what he's doing in my life, that's the cake.
that's the cake.
Yeah.
Wow. Tina, look, it has been an honor. Um, this I can't, I can't say enough about this conversation. I was so much looking forward to it and excited coming in, and I'm just confirms um, one, everything I prayed for. Two, that it was going to be just what I thought it was going to be for the viewer. Me being a viewer, that's why I like to sit back, ask questions, and don't say a lot because I'm blessed in it, and I know that the person I'm speaking to today is, I would say, open for the right reasons, right? Like I said, you said you're private, come to family life, but when it comes to testimony, I got to tell it, right? And I knew that this conversation would be a blessing, and I'm so glad to have had this conversation on a platform with you. I'm glad that people got to listen and see and hear. I, just thank you, thank you, and also you you may be going through hell, but you wear it well. I want to say you wear it well. And I strive to, because when I go through my moments, I gotta tell myself, come out of that. Come out of that. Right? Because I understand how either God is sending me through something or he watching to see how I act going through something. Either way it goes, come out of that. I need to get it together,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I know that no matter what, there's a blessing on the other end of that. And here's the thing: sometimes the blessing is the lesson. So while you sit in that, I love the fact that you said it so people can see. We laughed. You sang. You told the gospel. Talk about the gospel to people. We spread that good news, but they also got to see they also got to see, like, what does it mean? She in hell. What does it mean? Well, that's what it looks like to wear well, because it's going to be hell some days. Some days it's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. Some days you're going to be broken down to the ground, right?
Yeah.
But in the midst of it all, I will praise His name, and I will,
Yeah.
and I understand that I am a part of the body, and I am
Yeah.
a light. So I need to be an example also, no matter where I am in the world. And you today, it's just a blessing. And I thank you. I thank you. I thank you for this. And I thank God for this. And I pray for this. And it's such an honor to have had this conversation with you. I truly do appreciate you. I really do.
Oh, oh, bro, you're
I
completely
really do.
welcome. For some reason in my spirit, I feel Psalms 23, where the Bible says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my
Mm.
enemy.
Wow.
I think it's in my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy is that, yeah, surely goodness and mercy
Mhm.
shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. You know, there's a scripture that says God will keep you in perfect peace if you keep your eyes stayed on him. Sometimes you got to be in hell with your eyes stayed on God. Sometimes you got to be like the Hebrew boys in the fire with your eyes stuck on God.
Mhm.
Sometimes you got to be in the middle of chaos, but you're looking at peace, because when you look at God, you just feel it. You just see it. It's like, this is fire, but I'm looking at an ocean, and or I'm looking at a lake, and it's completely peaceful. And I think um you don't know how to have God's peace until you can really have it in spite of and in light of. And I believe that God wants me to have his peace, his joy, faith, contentment in spite of and
Yeah.
in light of, so that when I go back to being busy and all of that, none of that stuff will be able to knock me off my square,
Right. For
because that ain't
sure.
my bottom line. His peace, his joy, faith in him, contentment with him is my bottom line. So
Yeah.
what am I striving for? That at
Right.
all times. And in
At
order to
all
be
times.
able to manage that in the midst of hell, you got to have some experience and some training with it. My kids always say, practice makes permanent, or practice makes perfect. So sometimes you got to practice walking through the fire to know that you can walk through the fire and not get burned. Sometimes you got to
Yeah.
practice walking through hell, walking through the chaos, walking through the turmoil to know that even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'm not going to fear no evil, because God is
Right.
with me. His rod and staff comfort me. He's preparing a table for me right there while my enemies and hell is all going on.
Mm.
God got something good going on. My cup is running over, like I'm overflowing with goodness and blessings. Even though I'm in the middle of hell, God is like literally blessed in the middle of it,
Right.
because his goodness and his mercy been following me all the days of my life, and it's going to keep following me. And I'm going to dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So I got my eyes on my Lord, who's in his house, no matter what's
Mm.
happening in this house.
Fixated. Fixated on him. Fixated on him. I love it.
That part.
I love it. That do you have anything new that we should be looking forward to? Maybe anything in music, TV, film, books. What you got going on?
It's a lot that is to come. And I've
Mhm.
been big on giving timelines, deadlines, and all of that. I just know that
Mhm.
I'm in the middle of healing, and my time out is up at the end of this year. So
Got it. Okay.
all I
Got
know
it.
is I'm coming back with a vengeance. I don't know if Mary is coming back first. I don't
Mhm.
know if Tina Campbell is coming back first. I don't know if it's gonna start with a new song. I don't know if it's gonna start with this book, which is my legacy. I don't know if it's gonna start with all these other ideas that I've been sitting on since I've been here, healing over the last several years. I don't actually know what is to come. I just know
Yeah,
it's going to be big, and I know it's going to be great, and I know something is going to start kicking off at the end of this year,
for
because
sure.
I'm going to be to
For
finish
sure.
my programs, and I'm going to be ready to come out with a vengeance, because I'm like, man, God brought me through. God brought me through
Yeah,
all of these years, and he ended it with him healing all of the holes in my heart, all
for
of the
sure.
voids in my life. And so, yeah, something is coming, bro. And people can follow me on I am Tina, I am Tina Campbell everywhere.
Mhm.
IG, YouTube, Facebook. Somebody that hacked my page, so I got to get that back. But I am Tina Campbell everywhere.
Okay.
Stay
So,
tuned.
man, y'all
Oh,
heard of it?
and the real Mary Mary.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Look,
across the
hey,
board.
the real Mary Mary. I am Tina Campbell across the board. All promotion.
Yeah.
Did I cut? Is she there? Did I cut off? I think I cut off. Hello. Oh, did Tina go? Did she leave? Did I just black out? I think she left. Oh, I know my screen. I think my screen just blacked out. Oh,
Oh,
there you go. You see me?
yeah. I
No.
didn't
So
know.
look. So my screen blacked out this time.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. It just it blacked out, and I was like, "Let me hurry up and log back on." Okay, so let me since the devil trying to play games, right?
Mhm.
Thank you,
And
Tina. Thank you
I'm
for
over
being.
here. I'm
You
over here snacking.
right. I see you get into it.
Right.
But look, everybody follow Tina on all her social network. I am Tina Campbell and the real Mary Mary. Um, get your healing going. We're praying for you, people in the chat. We're praying for her. We're gonna surround you and your family in prayer. We love you so much. We're praying for you always, and we can't wait for whatever you have going on in the near future. We'll be looking forward to it and we'll be tapping in. Tina, thank you. This has been a blessing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome, bro. Much
All
love
right.
to you, bro.
Love, man. Love, man. Love. And
I
I'll be
can't
talking to
wait
you
till I
soon.
put this record out that you did with me. That's what I can't wait for.
People, they have people don't know I stepped away from rap. I stepped away from rap because my soul was disturbed with what was going on and what was around me at the time. And I thought I wasn't gonna do rap no more. My pastor told me that ain't how that works. God gives you gifts for you to use them. And then the next time I rapped, which was I started rapping in 2015. The next time I rapped was in 2024, and that was when I got a call from Warren Campbell and Miss Tina Campbell to do a record.
Hey, I can't wait.
I
Oh
can't
my
wait.
God,
It's
it's
an
sick,
amazing record.
y'all. It's sick, y'all. Stay tuned.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you for once again. Thank you for allowing me the space.
Uh,
Thank you for allowing me the
Thank you,
space
bro.
once
Thank
again.
you.
Thank you. Tina, I'll be tapping in with you soon, and I thank you.
Okay.
You have a good blessed day. Okay.
Thank you. You too. Bye, everybody.
All right now. Bye bye. Let's see. Shout out to everybody in the chat who stuck around. Um, Man, this was amazing, amazing, amazing thing here. I'm so glad that I was able to have this conversation. Sorry for the technical difficulties. My screen just went black. Um, Tina went out a couple of times, but we didn't let that stop us from having a great conversation. We didn't let that stop us from praising His name and giving all glory to God. We didn't let us stop. We didn't let that stop us from talking about her illustrious career and Mary and recording and being a mom and an artist. It was super dope. Um, I appreciate everybody who was in the chat today, who had anything to say, who showed love, who sent some love out. Oh, GFS Blackout, my man, you my brother. I did. I didn't want. I want you. I didn't want to say in the middle of the interview. I did see the questions, but I had a lineup of questions I need to get through, and I want to make sure I had to hit those notes first. But I thank you, bro, for always being a part of this community and also sending in questions because a lot of times I'll be freestyling. And I do need, so I do appreciate you and your questions because I do need to pull from that. And I always get love and show that you ask the question and see what the artist or person wants to respond to that. So I do appreciate you always dropping in and leaving questions. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Ghetto Cafe. Shout out to everybody that also that's in the chat from different communities, different places. I appreciate y'all. This has been a awesome conversation. Share it. Send a link out to people. Tell your friends. Follow me on my IG. BADLUCC354. Subscribe to my YouTube page. Please like and subscribe. Good Luck TV. The banner should be going at the bottom of the screen. Um, if you're on my YouTube right now, then just subscribe. Hit the like button. Subscribe. You know, I need it. I'm trying to build a community. I want to continue having these really, really great conversations and these dope conversations. And yeah, man, look forward to I got another good one coming next week. I'm not gonna speak on it just yet. I still need the confirmation, but I'm gonna try to do these weekly where I have these just people coming by, talking about some really dope things, have a great conversation, and diving deeper into the person behind the career. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. Thank y'all for tapping in. Say oof. I see you, man. What's up, man? Oh, thank you, Black. I appreciate that for real. I do. I appreciate that. I'm trying to watch these things and get better as I talk to people, and so I am studying my own stuff so I can, I don't want to never come off as corny, and I don't want to never come off as professional interview type dude. I just want to have conversations with cool people, and I want you guys to get all that you're supposed to get from these conversations. Whatever kind of gems are dropped, some game, learn something, laugh, something. So I appreciate all you guys tapping in, man. Um, I'll be at you soon. I appreciate all y'all once again. Peace.